Hello and welcome everyone. Hey Richi, how are you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Hello everyone, welcome to join the show. Richi, there is an echo. Is it on speaker or something?
Can you hear it now or no?
Now I don't.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Excited today. Thank you everyone for joining in and welcome to the Sky Network show. Today we are at the season 3, episode 17, and the main agenda of today's session will be one on the Sky Army and the updates regarding the secure chain AI network and Sky in general. Plus, we are going to be discussing on the concept, real world assets as a concept and what it means for our Web3 ecosystem, and what is the trend and what are the use cases and how do we see in the near future. So that will be it for today's episode. So thank you very much for everyone to joining in. Make sure to comment and say hello. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat, and we'll take it in the end of at the end of the show. So Richie, how are you doing, and man, how was your week?
Good. Seems like every week's a busy week now, but a normal week compared to every other week. Um, this concept that we're about to talk about of how blockchain and real world assets combine together, how they can be used, how we can increase transparency, how we can reduce fraud, we can guarantee that the person who says they own something actually does own that using NFTs, for example.
Yeah,
It's a great use case for crypto. It's one of the biggest use cases. I think NFTs have not been used for anything close to the strengths that they have. Rarely, at least, not for the most part. And the next, when people actually start to use this technology to solidify or verify ownership of an asset or access to something or storage of data, for example, will start to use crypto for its major strengths, right? And we'll start to see that change and that increase in transparency across the board using this technology. So I'm great. I love this topic. It's something I've been thinking about the different types of use cases and different utility that could be used using NFTs, using blockchain in general, and the effects that will have in our future, right? The change that will make in this world for the better, not for the worse. And it's a great concept. It's a great topic.
definitely, Richie. And also, this is something which I've been so recently. I've been having a strong conversation with multiple peoples and different project owners in real world assets, or those who are building, or those who are building the real world assets and exchanges, and the changes happening all around the globe with the different governments, different regulations. Um, all those things are pointing towards one thing. If you think that the AI chatbots, I mean, if not think right, there is a case study available that there will be a $300 billion worth of opportunity building just AI bots. Um, if I see if somebody sees the real value of real world assets and the way with the adoption it can grow and expand, I see this is a real world assets a trend could itself be a $1 trillion opportunity for
At least
everyone, at least, right? So this is so significant, and that was the only reason I really wanted to discuss it with our community members. And you know, excuse, sorry for interruption because I'm not feeling well, so sometimes pardon me. But for those specifically who are using their headsets, I can understand the feeling. but yeah, but this is an important time, and that's what Sky Network show is all about, right? Here we discuss everything end to end regarding the project as well as the market and the ecosystem, how it is going, how everything is evolving. And yeah, I can definitely see the real world assets as a upcoming trend. And I could see it as a great opportunity for Sky Network as well as Evolve Blockchain or any other network, like the whole Web3 ecosystem in general, and specifically our participants as well, to gain the maximum out of it, right?
Yep,
So
100%.
yeah, so that is also something which I've been working in recent time. All right. So I think how about Richie? We keep it as a theme of our season 4 um, Sky Network show. We can do a show. Okay, that sounds great, man. We'll see how it works out, and we'll share it with the community also.
100%. There's a lot there. So like we're gonna
Yeah.
touch base on some of it today, but the grasp of just how large this goes into, how many different industries get affected by this or can be improved by the tokenization of assets, of access, of data, of a lot of things. It's all under this gigantic umbrella of using crypto, NFTs, and blockchain to connect to real world assets, tradables, ownership. There's so much to unpack there. We could literally do episodes and episodes just on this topic and the different use cases, different types of ways we can use this technology to improve different industries, right? Make things more secure, make things more transparent, uh, verify who's accessing what at what time. With smart contracts, giving access for a set period of time, whether that's 2 seconds or unlimited, right? There's so much to talk about there. It's a large, and I agree with you. I think it's going to be over $1 trillion industry because people want to verify who's accessing their products, their data, their um, location, right? Their headquarters, for example. I think most businesses, in one way or another, will be able to use this technology to improve their business. From a gym with memberships of people coming into the gym every day and having an access point at the front, to a design bag design like Louis Vuitton, for example, verifying that every single Louis Vuitton that's out there, there's a way to verify they're authentic, right? Um, there's it's a rabbit hole to say the least.
Yeah, definitely, Richie. And I think let me go through the chat one if anybody has put in any specific questions. All good, guys. If everything is good, feel free to you know say hi in the chat. Let me check that. All right. So also, Richie, like when it comes to real world assets, as you say, you rightly said, right? It is a very fast field. So, uh, like for example, taking a loan on a. So this is how I see it. Okay, that it is an opportunity for everyone. Basically, if you see throughout the nations, the access to the capital is not the same for the human beings, right? In general, people. Sometimes for the businesses, sometimes for the personal, but access to money or access to capital is not, um, everywhere. Other than those specific capitalist countries where it is available, but there are so many countries in the world which are not capitalist, right?
Yeah,
And
100%.
they that this is a real issue, and real world assets idea as a general is able to address that, and that is a kind of very profound impact it could create in all those nations in building the new supply chains post all those things, the way the current logistics and supply chains has the uncertainty of it, and uh, end of the day it brings the transparency to it. It
And
allows,
efficiency too.
yeah, and it allows individuals and the businesses to make everything liquid, right? From your car, from your car to your phone to your purse to your laptop, anything and everything can be tokenized, and those things again. I'm not saying that anything and everything will be like, not this today's newspaper will be tokenized, but my point here is that with the proper structures and the regulations in place, real world assets could actually create the very like a big value for each and every like individuals or the participants in this particular. Uh, this is like a financial revolution, man. If you
It
think,
is
because
completely.
before this, before blockchain, before Web3, it was not possible for you to trade a banana with a bike, and that too without, with a trustless system, right? So that is
So I'll give
what.
you an example of something happened recently. Actually, this happened yesterday. So myself and my brother were driving home, and he gets a call from his bank saying someone compromised his card, right? So someone got access to his number of his credit card. They tried to buy something with it. It was flagged. He said it wasn't him, and now he has to get a new card. If we tokenized that access point or that card as an NFT, now no one in the world would be able to use your card without you signing off on a transaction to allow them to charge that card, for example, right? One simple but huge use case where you can take an access to a credit card or a Visa debit, make that into an access through an NFT instead, right? Where it's only one NFT in the world that can give access to that account, right? Charge that account. And now all this fraud that happens with people copying and stealing your credit card information, right? And then charging you for God knows what after, and then you having to go to the fraud process, that can almost be eliminated, right? So little simple things, taking this technology, tokenizing access with this technology to a credit card, to a Visa debit, and now how much fraud is prevented right there around the world. This is a billions of dollars that happen all over the world with fraud when it comes to credit cards and identity theft and the rest. You tokenizing that aspect of it, so in which any transaction that comes out of your credit card, you have to sign off on a smart contract, a transaction there before it happens. Now you've brought down fraud by how much? 90% more, right? Um, Simple concepts, but when put into effect, when put into actual use in day to day life, when it comes to simple things like a credit card, right? Which most people have, right? Some countries don't. And then, like you were saying earlier, blockchain gives the ability for any country, doesn't matter where you are in this world, as long as you have an internet connection, to start financial services, to be able to give out loans and receive loans, right? To be able to tokenize access, to be able to tokenize ownership. So now you can say, okay, I bought this product from that person and I received a token showing that I have ownership of that product. And when I sell it to someone else, I, in theory, should give the ownership to that person as well. Just like you have a piece of paper saying you own your house, or a piece of paper saying you own a boat or a car, or whatever that may be, usually things with higher amounts of value, right? But that piece of paper get lost. That piece of paper can be made copies of it. But as an NFT, you only have one of one, right? In the world. You can't make a second copy of that, right? Especially if it's coded that way. So the end result here is us being able to prove every step of the way who owns what, who accessed what at what time, who gave access, give access to your account or to be able to charge a Visa debit, for example. Um, it's a simple solution, but such a powerful solution. Because at the end of the day, if you told someone, okay, you have a credit card, when you give that number out to someone else, if they copy that number, they can charge you for other stuff. They have what they need to use that on Amazon or anywhere else. Or you have the other side of this where you have your credit card as a token, your virtual credit card. And now anytime a transaction tries to charge that credit card, you will have a transaction pop up that you have to verify. Now you can stop, like I said, over 90% of fraud right there. And it's a simple use case, but how much money every year is wasted and stolen with credit card fraud, right? It's a gigantic industry itself, billions of dollars every year. So um, that's just one use case. That's just one um, little bit of how we can use this technology to tokenize assets and access to really stop fraud, to really stop criminals in their tracks right there, right? Because if they don't have your personal access point, your NFT that would give them access to charge that credit card, right? Now they can't do it. It's impossible.
And somewhere, Richie, adoption is increasing, and with the real world assets,
Yep,
whether there will be the users might not know that they are using blockchain, but
100%.
they will be getting the benefit of it very soon. And I think that is the direction in which the industry is moving. And the Sky Network also has to put the whole, has to build the infrastructure which is required for the real world assets.
And that's it, right? Like we've said this point before. It's we need to get this industry to the point where most people don't know they're using blockchain on the back end because to them it's irrelevant what they're using. It has to work and it has to be secure. So let the developers build the back end and let the people use a simple UI that they can easily understand, easy use day to day. And it should be as simple as a little icon that shows the front door of your house and you click on it, click on lock, and it unlocks your door, right? You don't need to know exactly how the back end works. It should be transparent so that people who want to verify that it is safe and secure can. And if there's any problems, they can flag those. But at the same time, the average person who does not keep up with crypto or does not know or learn about blockchain will not know how that works in the back end, but they just want to know that it works every single day and it's secure. And when they need it, it will be there. It will work exactly like it's supposed to, right? And with
Yeah,
smart contracts, NFTs, and blockchain, you can verify all of that and you can make things work without any miscommunications. Uh, smart contract being used for a mortgage, for example, right, of your house, and an ownership NFT that's given to you after you paid off your house. Now you can verify all the terms of that contract. Nothing can be changed. It'll be executed exactly like it's written to be executed. And at the end, you're going to get your NFT that proves you own that house going forward. If you ever sold that house in the future, that NFT would have to be exchanged with the new owner of that house. Now you cannot have, like happens in the US quite a bit, where people take your identity, take loans against your house, and then overnight you go check, you go to the bank and they say, hey, we're going to take your house because you're behind on all these things. And excuse me, I didn't do any of this. Nope, sorry, it's on your house's loan, and it is what it is, right?
yeah,
Unfortunate, but people go through some pretty tough times because of this corruption, this fraud that happens all the time. Um,
yeah.
we can
And
use this
also,
technology. I
it is also a very big work for the banks and the
Yeah,
current ecosystem.
and
Also,
full teams.
somewhere they are failing to provide the services to every human being. Maybe they are not scalable, or they are missing something. But I think with this new world infrastructure, and also I have a trust in the humankind itself, that humans are smart enough to understand that this is the future of finance. And I can see that going forward, maybe 50 years down the line, uh, people would definitely want to have their at least money, right? Or not just money, but their value stored on a trustless system, right?
think it's needed because right now there's so much that's happened that people are, I think, trust in a lot of institutions and governments is low right now because
Yeah,
of everything that's happened. They haven't exactly given us a lot of reason to trust them fully. And I'm not saying you shouldn't trust your governments altogether. I'm
yeah,
saying that the general idea and the reality of it is that a lot of people, because of things that have happened and it's justified, that a lot of countries, people don't trust a lot of things that are happening around them. And that might be governments, that might be institutions, that might be banks, that might be other things. Us switching to or using a system where that trust is not needed to be there, where it is a trustless system, you can verify everything that happens there, right? That's necessary at this point, right? There's no need, if we don't have to need to trust someone to do something for us, right? And say, well, I hope he does that or she does that, because if he doesn't, then I am down whatever it is, or this happens and it's terrible for me. Um, if we don't have to have that, then why have it? If we already have the technology to go around that and make it so I don't have to trust you or anyone else because we can verify every step of it. I can verify you own that asset. I can verify you sent me that asset that I just paid for example. I bought a car from you through a smart contract and You sent me the ownership of the car. I sent you the Ethereum or the Evolve or the Sky coin, right? And that exchange was done and verified that both sides got what they should have got, right? Um, that changes things, right? That makes it so there's no more fraud there. So if I were to buy, for example, I go buy a trailer from someone or a boat or whatever it may be, there's an ownership of that trailer, ownership of that boat. If they don't have ownership to give to me, and I give them cash, for example, and they're like, "Oh, I lost the ownership. This way it is," you're good to go. You pay them, you take the trailer, you bring it home. Next day, cops show up at your door saying, "Hey, this person just reported this trailer stolen or this boat stolen," and you say, "No, no, I just bought them from that person yesterday. I gave them cash," and that person says, "No, you didn't give me anything." So you're there stuck with a cop in your front door. You bought something from someone, a trailer, a boat, whatever it may be. And now the other person, being fraudulent and not a good person, has now reported it stolen and said that you just took it from them and you didn't pay them. How do you verify that happened? How do you verify that he received the payment when it was cash? With blockchain, now you can verify that you paid the person in whatever asset it was, at what time, to the second, right? They received it, and ownership, that was a token, an NFT, was transferred to your wallet. Now you can tell that person, no, here's ownership of this boat. I have it, I hold it, and here's the transaction that I paid that person that had ownership, the rightful ownership of that boat or that trailer or whatever item it was, that transferred ownership to me. I am the owner of it. That person's being fraudulent. Easy, done. You could verify it on the spot. Before you couldn't. Before there was a hassle there, and you're trusting that people are going to. And let's face it, this world is full of great people, and this world is full of people who are not the best people in the world. So we shouldn't have to trust anyone going forward. With this technology, we don't have to. So that's why I push for decentralization. I push for trustless nature. I push for us to implement all of this technology in as many aspects of our life as possible, right? And I get it. There's that skeptical that, like, if we put everything on blockchain and technology and virtual, and something happens, and people are a little bit scared of kind of like um, over technology, over like putting our IDs on the blockchain and putting our healthcare stuff on the blockchain. And I get the pushback, I get the skepticism, I get the concern. But at the same time, it's much more transparent than it is now. It's a better solution to our problems than we have the solutions now, because our solutions we have now are full of it's full of fraud, it's full of misuse, abuse, scams, everything, right? If we can fix some of those problems, and I get there's a transition period and it takes time, because the older mentality has always been, I have a card in my hand, I have cash in my hand, I have assets in my hand. Um, Going digital and now connecting those assets to the digital realm in the blockchain space is a big step for most people to take. Now, the younger generations, it's much easier for them. They were born and raised in this environment, right? Everything's already digital for them, right? They have their cards all on their phone, for example, right? They go to the store, they tap their phone on the keypad, and they pay for things. That's weird to an older generation person who's always had cash or a card now. Even going from cash to a physical card where they can tap to pay for things was a hard transition for people. So we have to give people time. We have to make it as simple as possible and make it as user friendly as possible for all of these use cases, so that everyone doesn't just take it, get overwhelmed, and say, you know what, I want nothing to do with this. This is too complicated for me. I'm out. They should be able to say, hey, so I can make a lock, an entry key for my front door, and I can share that key with anyone in the world if I'd like to, and also revoke access to that key at any point in time. So you have complete control over access to your house or your building or your storage locker, etc., right? Or a hospital medical cabinet, etc. That can be done, right? That is a big use case that will improve security, improve trustlessness in different aspects of our life. So I think it's just a matter of time. We're going to get there. It's going to take 5, 10, 20 years, doesn't matter how long it takes. What matters is that at the end of this, we end up with a system that works better for the people than the one we have now, and is more transparent and safer and more secure. And in my belief, it's blockchain. Blockchain with utilizing some AI in there as well, and being able to verify every single thing that happens and be able to really create that trustless environment. where we may never have talked before, but I can trust that you sent me funds and I sent you ownership of whatever asset that was. That's a big step in humanity. That's a revolution that we're going through. The evolution of the space of ownership, of transferring ownership or buying and selling ownership, etc. And then that transfers over even into like stock markets and stuff like that. When you tokenize a stock into an NFT, into a token, now you can sell fractions of a stock, right? And you can verify every single stock that's there. No more naked shorts. So this concept, like we were saying earlier, when we start to talk about some of the different use cases and different ways this will affect our day-to-day life in logistics and ownership, etc., it's a extremely large concept, extremely large conversation to be had, and this could be several shows just on specific use cases, right? So yeah, what are your thoughts? What have we not brought up yet of tokenization of an asset that will be a gigantic step forward for people and their
Yeah.
day-to-day life?
I think the access to finances will be the very big thing, specifically
Yes.
for the small SMEs like small and medium enterprises, family-run businesses. Uh,
Yep.
those are the people who actually, need the access to the capital very much because they are the biggest job creators in the world,
Yep.
and they
So let's
don't
break
have
that down.
access to. So that what real world assets would do is like it's not that they don't have assets, right? They do have assets, but they are not liquid, and that's a real big trouble. And with the coming the trend of the real world assets and the blockchain solutions, everything combined, it would really make their assets liquid and would provide and access to the capital, which was not possible through the Web2 ecosystem at all.
And gives access not just banks to give capital to people. It gives
Yeah,
access to the average person to say, hey, I have a little bit of extra savings on the side here. I want to make a profit on these. I want it to work for me. Because if your money's not working for you, it's losing value because of overinflation that happens all over the world, especially in, well, I think most countries are having overinflation problems. Um, if your money sits there in the account year over year, you're losing spending value, right? Spending power on your money. So I
yeah,
think the US, they're saying is like 15% year over year that you're losing in spending because they're printing so much money, They're creating so much money because the majority of the supply is no longer physical cash anymore. It's digital. We're
yeah,
already at digital dollars, digital currency, where it's been there for a long time. Just we have that concept or the misconception of with cash is cash, everything in the bank account number. It says I have whatever it is in my bank account. Somewhere there's going to be cash stored of all that money. And that's not the case anymore. A fraction of that is stored somewhere. The majority of that, and it's probably 95% or greater at this point, is just digital, a number on computers, right? So we're already there. What we can't do is verify that every single one of those is there. It's just numbers on a database. So we're going to get to that point where we're going to be able to have a system that's so transparent that I can take my extra little bit of savings that I have and lend it out to someone, guarantee the safety of those savings because a smart contract will auto execute if the value that they're putting up against that loan or that line or whatever that investment capital is um, drops below a certain threshold, that it'll automatically sell the assets they put up against it, give me back my money plus my profits automatically, and then they are down whatever it was, right? So that would be like if I had $100 worth of Ethereum and I didn't want to sell that Ethereum because I still want exposure to Ethereum if it continued to go up in price, for example. But I needed $40 to do something else, to invest in something or to buy something or a bill that was coming out, etc. So I can use my capital, my asset, my value being Ethereum, $100 worth, and I can get access to $40 worth of USDT to pay for a bill, for example. But if I don't make my payments, it'll liquidate the $40 worth of Ethereum and pay the profits to that person. And if the value of Ethereum were ever to drop from $100 down to $50, for example, it would liquidate that Ethereum and pay off the loan again. So the trustlessness of giving a loan got better, the security of giving a loan got better, and the person who needs the cash, the access to the funds itself, was available against their assets. So that's something like We used to always have to go to a bank. But what if you don't have a bank? What if you don't have a bank account? Right? In many countries, that's the scenario. So you don't have access to that. You don't have access to funding, which means that your society, that part of the world, doesn't have access to evolve their city, evolve their town, build, create, innovate. Because let's face it, you need funds to build, right? You need funds for material. You need funds for to hire people. You need funds for legal opinions. You need funds for a lot of things. And if you don't have access to funds, you can only do what you have access to, right? Your hands, right? Your willingness to build something and the two hands to build it. But if you don't have materials, you can't build a shed. So, like you said, this is going to be the next step in humanity. This is going to be the next evolution in our day-to-day lives and the way we do banking, the way we do finances, the way we do access. So, let's say a use case, for example, is any industry. A company has 100 workers. They have a location. They can tokenize the entry into their building. They can verify who entered at what time into their building and what employee that was. They can give access to certain parts of the building to different employees because that's what they should be giving access to. So if it was something sensitive like a file room or a drug cabinet, for example, if it was a hospital, they can verify who entered that actual room itself and what time that was and what time they left that room. Okay. So the next step would be the data management. You can have servers that you own as a company, and you give access to the data to the people that should get access to that certain data. So you get your accountant has access to the financial statements of the company. Your HR has access to the user, the workers and their database and when they joined, what they did, et cetera, the files relating to the workers themselves. Your regular workers have access to the data of the chats that they've had with all the other workers around them, right? Um, all of this can be facilitated and become more streamlined and effective using blockchain technology, right? And there's many other use cases you can go down the rabbit hole on that gets into little the nitty gritty parts here, right?
Yeah.
Um, Audits are like this now, right? Using the ledger, you can audit something very quickly because it's a immutable, perfect ledger, right? That's the strength of blockchain as well, right? There's no, I can go change the books, I can change the numbers. You can't, right? Once it's on the chain, once it's on the ledger, then next block, guess what? The last block before it, you can't do anything about it. You can't do anything to change it or do any fraudulent work there. We can verify everything that happened. And when it comes to data management, data security, like medical data, for example, access to make sure that you are giving access to someone and only the person that that should have access to that room or should have access to that car can have access to that car, and you can revoke access at any point in time. That's a paradigm shift. That's the next step in our ability to interact with each other in a way that where everyone's safe, everyone is transparent, and we can really control the the amount of access we give out and for how long that happens and what is getting access to, right? All through smart contracts, all through blockchain technology.
Yeah, and I think Richie, like going forward, the future of Web3, this will be the four key pillars or the challenges which the industry has to uh, create the harmony in. Like one would be adoption. So I think wallets are something which are limiting factor today, which are, uh, which are hindering the adoption. So I personally see a wallet-free ecosystem as a you know uh, an answer to
Starting
it.
point.
Right?
The
Huh?
wallet is where it all starts, right? You where
Yeah.
you hold these coins or these tokens, these NFTs, access to your
Yeah.
house, access to your medical records.
But this is
The
a very
wallet,
big problem right now, right, Richie? Because see, for example, Solana and with different layer one blockchains, like a user has to really learn what is a network, what is a blockchain, and how things work, what is cross chain, just to get started
yeah.
with the ecosystem. But instead, I think a system where it's like a uni wallet kind of a thing, but basically a connector between Web 2 and Web 3, which is easy to use and secure. So again, you have to worry about the wallet security, right? Once the wallet private key is leaked, I mean, there's no way to go back, right? Or
Yeah,
secure
you're
that
done.
wallet. That is a very big challenge, right?
It is, and it's also one of those things where, like,
Yeah,
when it comes to your private keys, when it comes to your wallet,
yeah,
you are the biggest point of failure. You are the
yeah,
biggest risk to your own financial system,
right.
literally, when it comes to blockchain. So we have to take accountability, and we have to really be careful in how we save our private keys and make sure that no one has access to or can see your private keys. Don't keep
But
those
what
on
if
your
there are no private keys only?
right. And that's the next probably step there is if how we can keep it secure and making sure that no one else can access your stuff
Yeah,
without having private keys involved.
without
So
having
right
you
now, it's not
involved,
there
right?
yet. Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, could be a system where it would be a proof of human, right, or proof of identity. A person, see, wallets were the whole systems were created to, encourage the anonymity in the industry, and that is all well and good. I'm not saying that it is bad, but somewhere it is hindering the adoption by, you know, for users to not be able to. I mean, because the whole system, you need to have a wallet to just connect to a blockchain and work with it. But there is a way to do it where it does not have to be the wallet. It could be a person and the identity. And Web2 already has so many things, right? You have your phone, you have your email, you have your Telegram, you have so many things to prove that it is you, right? You have your biometrics, right? End of the day, you have your fingerprint, you have your iris scan. There's so many things which
It,
can prove that it is you who are making the transaction other than a wallet. Correct. So again, this is one thing which I see that industry is working really hard on. What are your
oh,
views?
yeah. It's just one of those things. It's good. You have to be so careful with it that, let's say, use your email to verify your identity. Your email can
Yeah.
be hacked, right? Your
Correct.
email can be compromised. If you
Yeah.
use your biometrics, is pretty good because obviously, unless they're cutting off your finger or something, then chances are you're good there.
Yeah.
When it comes to your phone number, someone can call your provider, say, "Well, I lost my phone. Send me another SIM card." And then what happened to people before, they'd access their accounts through their SIM card. That could happen. There's vulnerability there. So us taking our time when making these next step solutions and making sure that we've thought of how you're going to verify your access or verify you are who you are, and not use something that can be inherently compromised or less secure, like an email and a password, for example. As soon as one
Mhm.
person gets that, and they can access it anywhere in the world, they can give access to thousands of people, all because there's a single point. If there's just one point of access where we can verify that one key or that one identity is the only way you can access that data or that access to a building, etc. Now you've just cut down the ability to one instead of the ability for a login and a password for an email, for example, that can be given to a million people overnight. You post it on X, and now everyone knows what your login is, for example.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of being the due diligence and being so careful of the ability for people to get to those entry points. So if the entry point is the email or your phone number or your biometrics or second thing authentication, there are some risks associated with some of those, right?
Yeah.
If that's the main point of entry, then there's a risk associated with the system itself.
Yeah.
So us working to use the best form of verifying you are who you are to give access to your new wallet that doesn't have a private key, for example, and holds all your NFTs that give access to your house and to your building and to your storage room and have access to your ownership of your car and your house and whatever other assets you have and your medical data and sharing your medical data. Um, the next steps, we have to be so careful and so diligent that it can't be corrupted, it can't be compromised, because we're no longer talking just about like a meme coin that we're holding or an NFT of whatever the design is, right? An ape NFT, for example. We're
Yeah.
talking about your data, your health data, your access to your front door, your house. your financial, someone taking a loan under your name now because they have access to your account, and now they're going to have access to your crypto, take a loan against your crypto, send it somewhere else, and now you're stuck with that because that's your account. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
I
agree.
mean,
There's the next steps will go that way. Just it's going to take some time to really iron out the little details of it, so it can still stay secure, it can still stay transparent, and it can't be compromised.
yeah, definitely. And the second pillar, I think thing it will be the combination of like real world assets and DeFi together, coming in as a combined platform, like platforms, and bringing so many new use cases, which would boost the adoption of the Web3 ecosystem by multi-folds. And it has an, I mean, with the adoption issue solved, uh, DeFi, RWA together with all the decentralized exchanges and the whole decentralized ecosystem with offline, like off-chain entities, uh, which are governed by the regulations, with you know with good regulations, like not just to hinder the innovation, but to monitor it and make sure that everything is safe and secure. Those regulations could really come in help, and that could create that could double the global GDP, I think, with the help of this whole new financial revolution which is coming, right? And we are literally at the edge of it.
That's the next step. That's the next shoe to fall, right? That's the one thing holding back adoption right now, or
Yeah.
slowing it down at least, is the lack of clarity from country to country. There's such a huge jump from one country to another when it comes to regulations, when it comes to clarity on this space, what's considered what. I think it was yesterday they just signed some stuff in the U.S., a few bills, if I'm not mistaken, regarding crypto and U.S. Stable coins and commodity backed tokens, stuff like that. So we're starting to get that. We're on the brink of starting to get clarity across the board, right? You have Europe that uses the MISC, you have Dubai that uses Vera. Um, Once we get a stable across the board from country to country, a baseline, here's how it's going to be regulated, here's how you're going to be taxed, here's the terms and conditions you're going to have to go through. Here's what you're expected to produce, here's what you're expected to, how you're supposed to act as a company in this industry, so that you can protect your community members, right, or your clients, right? If you end up being a crypto bank, for example, like XRP is trying to do, um, that's when we really run with this. That's when everyone has like the unknown of how you're going to get taxed, the unknown of if you're going to be considered a security or a commodity back or a utility. Um, that's the part that's really slowing us down, and that varies widely from country to country, and that's a frustrating part for a developer or a project owners and operators to want to launch or plan to launch in wherever they want to in the world, and have so many different ways. So this country does it this way, that country does it this way, this country taxes you too much, this country taxes you too little. Like there's, to be honest, there's never a tax too little part, but uh, at the end of the day, until we start getting that consistency across the board, that we say I can do a public launch anywhere in the world right now, and this is what I'm expected to do. I'm expected to AML. I'm expected to KYC. After the public launch, this is what I'm expected to keep on top of, type thing, as a company, as a blockchain owner, as a token owner. Um, then we'll start to really get mass adoption when it comes to, to start a company, launch a company, and build that community up really quickly compared to what we have now, which is kind of like, yeah, I want to be next steps, but we have to go through these licensing steps and these regulatory steps and these research steps to even start that concept of where can I launch this, where can I do a public sale, where can I do a pre-sale, and what comes with that, what money do I have, what fees do I have to pay to do that, what regulations do I have to abide by, what should I not do to not get into any problems legally within these countries, these frameworks. So over time, we're going to get that. It feels like it just like slow, right? It's just, they're dragging their feet, and I assume they're pushing as hard as they can. It's just the way the system's built. It's not efficient. It's not quick by any means, and it could be better. Right? We're gonna hopefully make that better. We're hopefully gonna get some clarity soon, and that will get us to the next steps, and that will facilitate the future projects launching. and a worldwide standard regulations that most countries will abide by and use as their status quo. When we get that, then we can really get a faster adoption with new blockchains coming out, new tokens coming out, new projects, etc.
True, Richi. But one thing is for certain that so it may take 1 year or 10 year or maybe 20 years to for all the countries 194 to align towards it. But one thing I'm pretty sure that humans itself, like as an individual, everyone is smart enough to understand the value it in couple of years.
I think so, and I think it's just education now. So most
Yeah,
people, I still have people I talk to, and I talk about crypto with everybody. So that's it's one of my things.
same
I'll talk
here.
to a random stranger, and we'll start talking about crypto, and they'll ask like, "How? Like, what is that? Why would I use crypto?" Blah blah blah. It's like, okay, the education there. Even as much as we feel like this has been a long time with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and now Bitcoin's at all-time highs, and BlackRock is buying Bitcoin, and all these big institutions are all starting to get invested into the space and launching ETFs and everything else. So you would think the majority of the people would say, hey, okay, so they have to know about crypto by now because all the institutions know about crypto and they're investing and they're issuing ETFs, but they don't. It's not there yet. The majority of people go to work, come home, they don't know what crypto is, how it works, what it could be
Yeah, they
used for.
only know when the Bitcoin does the all-time highs and
Yeah. Bitcoin hit all time high. I don't know what that means. Great. Like, good thing for Bitcoin. Right. But they don't
yeah.
see the
And
evolutionary,
after reading the news, they will say, "Okay, I still don't trust crypto." And come
right?
on.
It's still a scam. It's this and that. But yes, okay. So how is that a scam? Oh,
Yeah,
people just use that for drugs and stuff like that. It's like, I'm sorry. Like, what did they use before? Cash. So cash is a scam as well. The conversation or the argument around that kind of drops pretty quickly when
yeah.
you really go to okay. There's a lack of understanding here, right? They took an
Mhm.
opinion that someone else portrayed to them and they associated Bitcoin and crypto and blockchain with scams or with, they just summed it up to it's a big Ponzi scheme or something. But they don't
Yeah,
actually have the education behind it to say, oh, wait a second, it's not. It can't be a Ponzi scheme because we can prove everything that happens there. And at the same time, it is evolution, it's the evolution of our times, right? It's going to give
true.
us the ability to do commerce back and forth anywhere in the world in seconds and a fraction of the cost it is now. It's going to give us the ability to verify ownership, verify that someone has access to what they should have access to. When we really give them or they learn um, how this can be utilized in their life, right? And some people they'll never learn; they'll just use it in the background and like the application the way it works. Um, then we'll get that mass adoption. Then we'll start getting. And it's a lot easier for the younger generations because
Yeah.
they're more
And
tech savvy,
one
obviously.
more thing, Richie, I would like to add here. That is like, see, just imagine that with the Web 2, like with the current rules and regulations, and it's definitely not easy to do a business anywhere in the world today. Okay. And
No, it isn't.
still, in this scenarios, there has been so many companies who created so many great innovations and built these big organizations, right?
Yep.
So just imagine with the with the Web3 ecosystem, uh, it will really create a very new ideas and innovations in the economy itself, and
Yeah, 100%.
there's a very big potential for so many different types of economical instruments which can be derived and created, like for example meme coins, right? Just imagine 10 years down the line, before like 10 years down the line, if you would ask anybody about, like, if you would some just discuss the idea of a meme coin with somebody, they would laugh, like, why would somebody buy a token just to buy it? No utility, right?
Yep.
But now, so there is so many new innovations in the tokenomics. There is so many new innovations which will be upcoming in the DeFi and in the real world assets. So I do see a adoption coming, and we are at the start of it yet. So for that also, I think now it is time that we move our conversation toward the Sky networks updates also. But before we go into that, I would really like to let the community know that yes, we are serious about the real world assets and the DeFi on the Sky network, and we are building the infrastructure for it, and we'll see how it goes. By the way, one very great news is we already have 150 plus new projects on
Nice.
Sky Network in last 2 weeks. So that's really amazing, right?
And that's because you gave them the ability to create them in an
Yeah.
easy and transparent manner, right?
True.
We've never been at a point in humanity, in my opinion, where we're able to create so easily. Like you can make a token, you can launch a project, and it does not mean you have to take years to learn how a smart contract works or to learn how to
Mhm.
code in Solidity. Now you can do it on the Sky network with a few clicks of a button, right? You
Yeah.
can create something amazing. You can start the backbone of a project, the token, right? And then build from there, then build a website. You can use AI to build a website for you with just prompts, right? Vibe
Yeah.
coding is the next standard, I think, in innovation when it comes to applications, because now you, without having to take years and years, and education is always great. So if you had the passion and want to learn how to do those things, do it because it's only going to help you in the future. But if you didn't know how to do that right now and you had an idea where, let's say, you have um, a firewood company, for example, and now you
Mhm.
want to build a token that every time someone bought firewood from you, you give them a few tokens as a reward. And if they bought enough firewood, eventually they'd get a free load of wood from you. You can build the website, you can launch the token all without knowing how to develop in the background, all using
Correct.
tools. Just like
Yeah.
Sandeep and the Sky team made a tool for you, the community. Now you can launch a token in seconds, right? That's adoption right there. That's going to be mainstream adoption when it's so simple that you can literally, without any background, launch your own meme coin, launch your own meme token, your community coin, your club coin, whatever you want to call it, right? Just like that. Um, that's the steps to mass adoption. That's the ability for anyone to come into this ecosystem and participate in many different ways, whether that's launching a token or an NFT collection or a smart contract for that matter, right? If it's done in a way where it's so simple that you can understand it, interact with it, and do it, then we're really going to get to mass adoption that way. And the Sky team, the Evolve team, we've been doing so much in the background to build out some of these applications, make it as simple as possible, give the educational tools for you to as well to learn about it before you interact with it, so you feel confident and secure in doing these things. Um, it's a huge effort that's being done in the background, and I hope the community really appreciates all the Sky team's been doing for you and really uses it. Right now, the next step is not just to say thank you; is to build something with it. Right, is to really use it for its strengths and innovate with it because that gives the feedback and the appreciation to the team that put all that work to build that for you.
Yeah, and for that reason only, Richie, we have already started the work on the next release of the Sky Army as well. So
Nice.
where we are bringing on some new features, there will be an option to create a tokenomics of their choice, or different. They'll be able to add different features to it, and there's so many new things coming. There is also we are adding the uh, holders dashboard, or kind of a tokens dashboard, where you can so there are so many new features coming in. So I
Yep.
think so we'll be launching that in next 2 weeks. So the work is in progress. Also, other than that, I would like to update that the work on liquidity staking platform is also in real progress, and it is happening super fast. So soon we'll be able to give out the dates for the liquidity staking program. Also, we'll be able to soon release. The Sky Pro has already gone into the testing today. Like again, the second revision of the testing has begun. So in the first testing period, whatever the issues and the bugs which were found, that has been resolved, and again the retesting of the Sky Pro has started. So next week we could have that good news as well. So
Nice.
these are the things. Also, as I said, right, that we will be working on building a new infrastructure on Sky Army, like I mean on Sky Network, where user, like anybody could would be able to build real world assets programs or projects onto that platform. So that is also something which is uh, well, we are targeting maybe quarter four, but yeah, that is also in progress. So everything is good and green. We'll see you next Saturday, 2 p.m. UTC. Before that, if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. I'll let you go through it once. I'm not seeing all the chats, I think, here. But yeah, Richie, what are your views, Richie, with the way the sky is moving?
It's great. You guys are building, you're constantly evolving. So it's not just putting out a tool and saying, okay, it's good enough, use it and leave it like that. It's adding new features, it's making it better and better for the community. And on the community side, make sure that you guys are giving back feedback to what you'd like to see added to the application, or what works the way you like it, what doesn't work the way you like it, so that the developers have that feedback where they can say, you know what, this person from the community brings a valid point. Let's now change that slightly. Let's add that feature. Let's add that ability to do that certain type of tokenomic to these contracts. The only way this gets to the point where the community gets exactly what they need and the tools they want is by that into exchange of feedback, right? So make sure you guys are active, use it, go through it, and if you see something you'd love, you know what, that'd be a great idea if they had this or that. Make sure you give that feedback to the team so they could work on that, right? To make sure you guys are vocal there and participate and comment and interact, because that's the only way this gets better. Is if you guys show us, the people that are building these things, what exactly you guys would like, what features you want added, and what concepts you want built. Because then we have an idea of what you guys want, and we can do it, right? We can build these things and these tools and these educational um, items, educational courses, etc. So with that, yeah, I'm optimistic. I'm every time we come on here, there's something new, and you guys are obviously evolving over time, and it's getting better and better and better as you guys do so. Right, the ability for you guys to continue to stay motivated and head down and work week after week after week and bring more and more value to the community. That's what building a community is. That's what building a blockchain is you constantly growing with your community to get better and better and better, so that you are a top 10 option in the ecosystem that is the blockchain ecosystem.
True, true, Richie. Definitely. And again, I think usually the like in Web3 ecosystem, the way projects do is like they start with the web white paper and just follow their white paper. Whereas Sky is not uh, what is written in our white paper, or what is it is a project which keeps evolving every week, every Saturday, every day. Actually, it evolves every seconds and every minute. It evolves, and
Yep.
our fundamentals are very simple. If it works, we build on it. If it doesn't work, we skip on it. Okay, it's as simple as that. And end of the day, goal is to make the project success, right? And that's
Yep.
what we are focused on. So yeah,
100%.
amazing show today. We had so many things to discuss. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in and having the patience to listen to it. If you have got any questions, feel free to put it in the comments of the video, or if you wanna talk, feel free to join the Telegram. Let us know. Richie, would you like to do the concluding remarks?
Yeah, for sure. Pleasure is always being here. To the community, thanks for watching. Um, every episode we go through all these different concepts and try to break it down for everybody and make sure that we do it in a way that is educational and entertaining. At the same time, we are here to answer these questions. We're here to interact with the community. So make sure you guys are interacting, you guys are commenting, you guys are asking questions, you guys are giving options and giving different feedback so that we can work with you, grow with you, evolve with you, right? It's always a pleasure being on the show. I look forward to the next show. So with that, take care, everyone. And then
All
thank
right,
you.
everyone. Thank you very much. Wishing every one of you a very happy weekend and a productive week ahead. We'll see you next Saturday, 2 p.m. UTC sharp. Have a great week ahead. All right.
Take care.